Okay, 2 minutes. Trent, 20 seconds. 6:59. 6:59. Good. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Tumbler Ridge Council by-election. The forum tonight is being hosted by the Tumbler Ridge Chamber of Commerce. My name is Jerry Lynn Kirk, and I'll be your moderator tonight. Um, this is not gonna, I'm not reading my notes here, but it is so good to see everybody's face. It feels like I've come home. And boy, I'm not gonna say too much because I'll get all teary, but I love Tumbler Ridge, and this will always be my home. Now, for full disclosure, Kathleen Connolly was supposed to be in this seat tonight, but Mother Nature had other plans, and she wasn't able to make the trip. So you're stuck with me. I promise to do my best, and if anything goes sideways, we'll just pretend it was all part of the plan. We're here tonight for one reason, and one reason only, to hear from the 4 candidates running in this by-election. This is a great opportunity to learn more about their platforms, their ideas, and why they believe they are the right choice for Tumbler Ridge. Our candidates in alphabetical order by last name are Keith Bertrand, Natasha Doherty, Don McPherson, and Dave Thompson. I'd like to thank all of them for stepping up and putting their names forward. Running for office is no small feat. It takes guts, commitment, and just the right amount of optimism that you're not going to get too backlashed on Facebook. So here's how tonight is going to go. Each candidate will have 3 minutes to give an opening statement. Once that's done, we'll move to audience questions. Each candidate will have up to 2 minutes to respond to each question, but probably won't need quite that much time. We'll keep the question and answers going until 8:30 p.m., and then each candidate will have 3 minutes for a closing statement. If there are no questions from the audience, which I highly doubt seeing the number of people here, I have some pre-written questions for the candidates. Candidates, you can deliver your statements from your seat, or if you feel better walking up here to the podium, you're welcome to do that as well. Whatever makes you feel more presidential. And number 5 for the audience. Please come up to the mic. I know a lot of you are mothers with kids and have loud voices, but we're live streaming and it's going on to Facebook. So we need you to step forward to the mic so that the people online can hear the questions as well. Now, I know Tumbler Ridge is a community that values respect, and we're going to keep it that way tonight. This is a forum to learn about the candidates, not a reality TV showdown. A few ground rules. Questions must be relevant to Tumbler Ridge or candidate qualifications. There will be no personal attacks, no fishing for political leanings, and absolutely no debates about who makes the best coffee in town, unless we settle that once and for all. If a question is off topic or inappropriate, I'll kindly toss it aside like last year's expired milk. Candidates, you're free to pass on any questions if you choose. There's no pressure. We're here to inform, not inflame, so let's keep things respectful, engaging, and dare I say, maybe even a little bit fun. So let's get started. All right, candidates, this is your time to shine. We'll begin with opening statements. Each of you has 3 minutes, and we drew numbers in advance to determine the order. So who chose number 1? Dave Thompson, you're up first.
All right. Is it okay if I stand here? I'll stand in Don's mess. No, maybe it wasn't you, Don. I thank you, everyone. My name is David Thompson. Most people know me as Dave. You can refer to me as Dave if you like. I just put on my nomination form David because that's my official name. I am known to wear many hats in this town. Many of you know me as a former geologist. I'm still a geologist, but I retired from Kanuma as their chief geologist last year, and I also spent a year or so in the schools doing some substitute teaching. I've got a background in science and education, 2 degrees from UBC. I've been living in town here off and on since 2006, so almost 20 years. I started with Peace River Coal as their geologist in 2006. I came here just after the first evacuation for the fire. And then when I was here when we evacuated a couple of years ago. I've been back in town full-time since 2020, and I started with Kanuma then, and I worked on all the different mines in town, so I'm very knowledgeable about the mining industry, coal especially. At the same time, I wanted to get involved in the community, and I joined the WNMS, the Wolverine Nordic and Mountain Society, and within a year they had elected me president, and I've been a president for this is my 3rd year as president of the WNMS, and some of you know me as wearing the hat of the guy who's always got the chainsaw in his hand and out there clearing the trails. So I've put a lot of work into that. It's something that I've always felt strongly about is giving back to the community that I live in, the community that I want to be part of and make a meaningful difference to. I'm not the kind of person that is going to sit back and complain, to go on social media and be verbal and not really do anything about the problems or the issues that may come up in a town. I'm all about being part of the solution. I'm more aligned with getting things done, and I'm the type of person that gets really involved in something, gets right down to the details, and wanting to know more about a subject and researching it to the nth degree so that I come to a meeting prepared. Thank you.
Thank you. So I just want to say a big hello to those joining us on Facebook, on live. So we have how many? 20 people online that are also attending this forum. So this is incredible. I don't think I've ever seen this many people out for an all candidates forum ever. So welcome. Who chose number 2?
I don't want want to admit it.
Oh, Natasha.
All right. Hello. My name is Natasha Doherty. Most of you will recognize me as the probably crazy lady helping around town. I don't think a lot of people actually know my last name, which is fine. As a volunteer, I go by either Natasha or Tasha. I feel like puking. But other than that, I'm usually a lot better at public speaking. This is the first time I've had to do it since, I believe, 2015. So it's been a few years. So I'm sorry and I apologize in advance for stumbling. I have lived here in this community for 9 years, but I've been visiting here since 2010. I am an active member throughout multiple organizations and nonprofits, mostly children-related sports, as well as I do things like gardening. I'm on PAC. I love doing anything to do with beautification and the helpfulness, just being around town. I'm sorry.
You're doing great.
I may have missed lunch. I like just to be a part of this community. I've been here for enough years, and I love being a part of it. Being a council member would probably be the next step in helping do the things that I want to do around town. Even if it is just vaguely fixing sidewalks and planting flowers. The helpful part this town runs on is mostly volunteers. We do a lot. And it's kind of crazy the amount of volunteer hours and work that most people do around town that seems to go unrecognized or undervalued for a town that very much runs on it. And I would like to start supporting more of the things that I feel like this community is good at, if that makes sense. Which it probably doesn't, because I feel like I am honestly rambling, and I'm hoping that my speeches get a little bit better through this. I'll be better in the question and answer period. I am a mom, though. I do a lot with children, doing the things that the kids need. And this town supports a lot of it. There's a lot of kids' events, a lot of stuff that we can do. And honestly, I just love it here. And being a part of council would be something that I feel like I'd be okay with, because I'm a different voice than what is on there right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Natasha. And who do we have up third? Keith.
All right. Good evening, everybody. My name's Keith Bertrand. I've been in Tumbler Ridge since 2002. My wife and I raised our 2 daughters here, and we've absolutely grown to love this community. I've been involved in many organizations throughout the community, minor hockey, lots of kids' sports. Currently at the high school teaching phys ed and getting some high school sports rolling again, which is great to see. I found myself, after last term of being mayor, I found myself starting to complain again, so I decided to run for office. I'm the type of person that if I have something to complain about, hopefully I can do something about it. So that's why I decided to put my name forward again. I do have experience on council, last term being former mayor, so I've definitely got some ins and outs on municipal government. I learned a lot on my time there. Excuse me. And also I just wanted to mention and show my gratitude to Councillor Clickash for putting his name forward and representing the community. I know it was probably a very difficult decision to step down, but it was likely for the best, so just wanted to say thank you to Mr. Clickash for representing as well. And I'm also really looking forward to working with the new staff. DTR's had a pretty big turnaround for staff over the last couple of years, and really exciting to see the changes that have been made and the competency that's been brought into the office. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to becoming part of council again. Thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least, we'll get Don McPherson up. Can you hear Don? Yeah. No. Well, there you go.
I'm Don McPherson, and I know most of you. I'm a senior, if you hadn't noticed. I'm overdressed, as my cows didn't even recognize me when I was doing my chores today. I've been here for, as far as I can figure out, 45 years. My first trip through town was, there was just ribbons. There was a few roads and ribbons, and there was no buildings. I came out here because I loved the area. I used to hunt here long before Tumbler Ridge ever was here. And me and my brothers picked up a mine contract to take care of the construction vehicles when they built Quintet Coal. Tumbler Ridge has given me a great life. I've been in a few businesses. I worked at the mines when I first got here, contracted. I ran the Shell station for, I think, around 25 years, and I got to know everybody. I ran my riverboat for tours I'm the guy that started the tours on the river, and I got tired of doing that because it was my hobby, and you don't want to turn your hobby into a work. And I finished off with the oil and gas. So I've had the whole gamut. I've been through everything. I've been on council for 18 years, and a lot of people ask me why I would run again. I really enjoy it. I think I bring the history and why things were done the way they were done back in the day, and I don't believe that things shouldn't change, but it's a lot easier to make those change decisions when you know why things were done the way they were. And it doesn't suit some of the things today. This town's a lot busier. It's a lot more things going on. I've been a big part of projects that have shaped this town over the years. I am not a bench warmer. I get involved, and any of the people I see here that have been around the council know that. I say what I think, and my mind can be changed on a good argument, I think. The highs, I've been through the highs and lows in town, and I definitely like the highs better. When the mines are working and
10
everybody's
seconds.
making good paychecks, and Canuma was a real godsend. I worked with them. I had a little bit of history with them, and I helped them all I could. So my strength is common sense, and a lot of people have told me that, but that's all I got for you.
Thank you, candidates. We appreciate you taking time to tell us a bit about yourself and your experience. And now we are going to open it to the audience. This is the participation part of the evening. So just step up to the mic. Mr. Chris, I see you coming forward.
Oh, it's all the way up here. Someone's got to be the first one.
That's right, exactly.
Make it an easy one, wouldn't it?
Is too dressed for that.
You're not underdressed, Don. Don't worry. You're dressed just right.
Can you hear Chris?
I'm underdressed, you're fine.
Trent? Can you hear Chris?
Test.
Okay, there.
I got to get close. Thank you. First off, thanks for all of you for putting your name forward. It's not an easy thing to do. I've been sitting in those tables the last 6 years, and every time I'm always nervous. I'm always shaking a little bit, just as I am right now. Myself, I'm a big advocate for nonprofit organizations. You know, I've heard from most of you about what you've been doing in terms of volunteering and how you've been helping nonprofits. So after being elected, how will you support nonprofits? And are there specific organizations you feel are underrepresented, under-supported in our community? Thanks.
Thank you. Let's start with the last one to speak, Dawn, and we'll go that way, and then we'll just move over one each question.
Well, I feel our nonprofit organizations are the heart of this town. That's why it is such a nice town. And when you say how do we treat them, I'm not sure what you're mentioning there, but I think we deal with each issue at a time, and whatever their needs are at certain times, I think we should support them all we can. I'm not sure the second part of your question, but
Do you feel any nonprofits are under-supported in our community?
I would think there probably is some. I can't name anybody right off the top, but I know the main ones, the clubs that run the dinners, the barbecues and all that, the Lions, you know, they do a wonderful job for this town, and I wish I had a list in front of me because it'd be easier to go over it. But yeah, I like to support the nonprofits, and they are the heart of this town. Thank you.
Thank you. Natasha, 2 minutes or less.
So I actually wanted to bring that one up, Chris. I'm actually really thankful that you did. I believe that we should establish regular meetings and communication channels to foster collaboration through a lot of the nonprofits. There are a few of them, like children's sports, that could be put under an umbrella and have an easier way to deal with stuff in a way that, like, kids' activities and sports don't rely on specific non-for-profits. If we created a job opportunity throughout the district, because we do have the manpower, it'd be easier for things like the insurance for all of the sports and the fees for renting the spaces that are owned and run by the district anyways. It'd be easier to deal with if we could streamline that on a specific basis to be able to deal with easier ways to make it function, instead of everybody blindly trying to do it and not realizing things like the insurance and the liability that actually comes up from running these nonprofit organizations and the problems that could arise. Creating a centralized resource hub for nonprofits, including information on funding, training, and volunteer recruitment, I believe would also greatly benefit this town. Again, I don't even know how many nonprofits there are, but there always seems to be more and more being added, and I'm not sure why we couldn't facilitate a way to make it a lot more streamlined within a town that does run on nonprofits.
10 seconds.
I'm not sure if I answered both your questions. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. And Dave. Oops.
Thanks, Chris. Great question. As you know, I'm the representative of the WNMS, one of our main outdoor clubs. We represent the non-motorized or the people-powered recreation outside. And one of the things that, you know, it was a topic of conversation over the last few years of some of the other nonprofits that were also outdoor recreation based, the mountain bike club, the ATV club, the snowmobile club. Maybe they were underrepresented, and it was through the initiative of certain, you know, the few volunteers in town that said, hey, why don't we get better representation by forming an umbrella society that is known now as TRORA, or the Tumbler Ridge Outdoor Recreation Association, that represents all those clubs. So I can speak to nonprofits from the outdoor recreation perspective, but I understand that there's, and I attend the nonprofit society meetings every 6 months, and we have a lot of nonprofits here that represent many different groups in town, many that are important in addressing some of the more important issues in town: childcare, education, healthcare, housing. And I understand that, you know, there's some concern about the condos or the townhouses that are being torn down right now. How do we get those rebuilt?
10
and
seconds.
there's mention that we need to form a new nonprofit society to get funding to build new townhouses there. So yes, I definitely support the nonprofits. Thank you.
Thank you. Keith?
Thank you. Thank you for the question, Chris. There's no doubt our community is run by nonprofits, and it really gives everybody an opportunity to show some passion on something that they really enjoy to do. I'm going to take a different approach than my other candidates. I believe our nonprofits are extremely well supported in Tumbler Ridge. I believe our not-for-profit grant and aid last year was somewhere in the neighborhood of $550,000 to $600,000. That's a lot of money to be supporting a number of different groups. And I think it shows a lot of our nonprofits are thriving as well. It's showcasing the passion that our community has, but also filling the gaps that the district isn't able to fulfill. Undersupported, absolutely. I think our biggest undersupportment of our nonprofits is people. You know, there has been a lot of new people move to town over the last 2 or 3 years, so a recruitment process through the nonprofit roundtable that I helped organize last term, I think would really benefit all of our nonprofits to try and get some new people in those positions. As far as supporting them, I think the umbrella of Trora was an excellent idea, but we also need to support that as well. A lot of the other nonprofits in
10
town
seconds.
really showcase how incredible this community is, and it's a pleasure to be a part of it, and yeah, definitely continue to support.
Thank you. And John Madsen, you have a question. Chris, you're good? Your questions were answered? Okay, good.
Just getting a sense of where your mind is. What do you perceive to be the biggest problem of the whole gamut that we face today? What do you perceive as the biggest problem for Tumbler Ridge? Not saying that you have the answer, but how you'll work with others to address it, but where do you see the biggest potential problem that we're facing today?
Natasha, we'll start with you.
Wait, can you come back? Can you clarify that a little bit more? Like problems?
What's on your mind? There's a whole bunch of problems that the world is facing, that we're facing here. What do you perceive to be the most dangerous, frustrating problem that Tumbler Ridge faces today, in your view? Whether, obviously, you work with a lot of kids and youth, so you're coming from that perspective, and each of you come from different perspectives. It's interesting to see how your mind works and what is most prevalent in your mind as far as a threat to the town of Tumbler Ridge.
Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
I'm leaving it wide open on purpose. to
Yes,
give you
I
flexibility,
have
so.
figured that much out. I'm not sure where I want to start with that one, but like you said, I do a lot of things with kids and also random volunteering around town. The biggest problem that I have not been able to solve on a personal note has been, if anyone has ever been to the elementary school within the past 10 years, there is what lives as a giant ice lake that likes to melt and create within the sidewalk of the elementary school, creating a giant death trap that you tend to fall on. We've lost 2 teachers this year already who have fallen and become injured while falling and slipping just by letting the kids out for recess. I can't even tell you if they keep count of how many kids that could potentially fall and get injured, but there does not seem to be appropriate drainage for our elementary school. And I'm not sure who exactly it is that would fix that, if that is a district problem or a school board problem. But I have asked and questioned a few people through the years, as my kid has attended that school for the last 4 years, but we live beside it and obviously use the park. It has been a problem and an ongoing one for the entirety of my time being here. And it is a safety issue by this point where it's dangerous. And if we can't let our kids go out to play on the park that is
10
sanctioned for
seconds.
them to be on, it seems like a weird thing that hasn't been fixed. And I'm not sure why someone hasn't already brought that up. If that answers your question, I'm really hoping.
Thank you. Dave?
Great, okay. Thanks for the question. It's open-ended enough that I think my answer is going to be multifolded, I guess. There's many things that have been identified to me either by living here or by talking to people and understanding what the issues are in town. Whether it's what's happening with education in this town, what's happening with childcare, what's happening with the health care. Those are all really, really important issues. Some people say that at the core is maybe it's the housing issue is the root of that. I think the main challenge for us is attracting the professionals to come to this town and stay in this town. And to get those professionals to come and stay in this town, we need good housing. We need options. We need childcare for those people. We need people to do the childcare. So these are all challenges, and they're connected to each other. The childcare is connected to the healthcare. What kind of healthcare do we have? Is it hard to get doctors here? Yes. Is it hard to keep the doctors here? Yes. What kind of environment are we giving the doctors to come to and stay? I've talked to people involved in all of these facets of our society here, and they all have their concerns. I think as counselor, I would be able to come up with some ideas and
seconds.
help come to some solutions, or at least some ideas towards a pathway to those solutions to address each one of those issues.
Thank you, Dave. Keith?
Thank you. Thank you for the question, John. Excellent question. What I see the biggest problem in Tumbler Ridge is our aging infrastructure. Everything in town was built at the same time, so everything unfortunately comes due at the same time. I believe this year, I believe that there's some major road construction happening this summer, another paving project, but that's not going to be the only one. We have all of our municipal buildings need renovation, not only inside but outside. We have some major spends coming up, and I'm looking forward to working with council to try and find the best solution for all of this, because a majority of people in town think we're rich. We have millions of dollars in the bank. We can afford everything. What do you want? Splash park? Let's get a splash park. We can get it, no problem. Should we get some more employees? Yeah, throw in another employee to take care of that, no problem. We can afford it. Well, unfortunately, we can't. Yes, we do have a very good surplus, but It's because we need to replace our roads. We need to replace our buildings. We need to accommodate our fire department who has outgrown their building. We have some major spends coming up in the next 5 years, and my financial background, I'd like to be a part of that to spend efficiently. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. And Dawn.
Yeah, this is actually an easy one for me because I've been whining about it for quite a while now, and that's wildfires. And tell you the truth, if we watched what happened at Jasper last year, if we get a wildfire, it solves all these other problems. You know, I think and I believe that we should be building a fire break around this town in the off season, when we don't have to worry about fires, removing fuel and stuff like that. It just makes common sense to me. You know, I know at my little place out there, I'm continually taking down dead trees and stuff, and it's something we have to do. We live in a very scary place with all these trees, and I love trees. My whole life I've been living in the bush, recreating in the bush. I really think our number one problem, if a wildfire gets close to this town, which it did, we're in trouble. And I don't want to lose everything to a wildfire. And I really think that should be number one on our issue. Like I say, it solves every other problem if it does get here. So, thank you.
Thank you, Dawn. Do we have another question? Yes, sir, in the front row. And then next, we'll have Kayla ask a question that she's received online.
Hi there, I'm Bob Ryans. I know most of you people here. I've been involved with the Lions Club for about the last 3.5 or 4 years. And I'm going to be moving on this year, so you may be finding that there's some help available here with your chainsaw, because I have one too. The one thing that I'd like to know, if you look around this room, you see a number of elderly people, myself being one of them. And I'm just wondering what your views are on moving towards assisted living for your seniors. The seniors, many of them have been here from day one, going back to the 1980s. A lot of them have come in thinking that Tumbler Ridge is a cheap place to live. Well, let me tell you, it is not. And ultimately, I think your seniors have put up a lot, have done a lot over the years, and are still doing a lot. And I'd like to know, what your thoughts are around assisted living for the seniors. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Okay, we start with Dave.
Thanks, Bob. I hope you're still in good shape to lift that chainsaw pretty soon, because it's coming up. I appreciate your comment. I'm also, newly retired, and I fully expect to live to a ripe old age here, and that's something that has been my concern as well. What happens when I get older and I need more care? And currently I think it's lacking in this town. I don't have a solution, and I don't know. I certainly would spend my time as a counselor looking into what the possible solutions would be. I can't really. It's a great one. I haven't really considered that one, and I definitely work hard on coming up with some sort of ideas and some solution. Thank you.
Thank you. I didn't need my timer. Go ahead, Keith.
Good.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Thank you for the question, Bob. Assisted living for seniors, absolutely. It's going to be basically our next underrepresented aspect of our lives over the next 10 years. We do have some rancher-style houses at the Hartford Gardens, I believe it's called, but it's not enough, certainly. Assisted living is going to become much more prevalent over the next 10 years by far. We did an age and place study 4 years ago, I want to say, And basically that study was looking at our housing situation in town and what needed to be done for people to live age in place or stay in their home. And a lot of renovations needed to be done, not only for laundry rooms on the same floor, but every house has stairs, you know, whether or not you're gonna get a lift or whatever that might be. So assisted living is really, in my view, the way to go. I think this is something that we can lobby the province for. They are currently tearing down a whole bunch of BC housing units at the moment, and I don't believe there's a plan in place to replace them. So this is certainly a good opportunity or ammunition for us to lobby the province for assisted living. I think there's also an opportunity for a partnership with the First Nations. Both Moberly and Soto have aging elders as well. They are going to need assisted living for their elders as well. And if you ask anybody in the Peace Country where they would love to live, Tumbler Ridge is the place, and First Nations are included in that. So I think it's certainly an opportunity to partner with one of those groups to try and get this problem for all of our seniors solved within our region. And Tumbler Ridge would certainly be an excellent place for that. Thank you.
I'm with you. Yeah, we've delved into it smallly with the Harcourt Court. And the other thing was the housing that they're tearing down now. 8 years ago, I toured that housing section, and I think it was rebuildable, but it's going down now, so there's no point talking about that. But that's a perfect area, I think, back in there. It's not to say we got to put you back in there, but it's a nice area, and maybe when that comes down, that we can lobby the government to put something in there. They let it die, and I think we deserve to have the provincial government step up and sure help us get something going in there. I'd sure love to see that happen.
No. You're getting feedback. You're getting feedback now. You gotta eat your mic a little more.
I didn't even hear the feedback, but anyway, yeah, that's much what I would like to work on, and that's just one thing that I would bring to council is trying to get that done.
Natasha.
I feel like a little bit of a broken record for that one, because I'm also gonna say the tearing down of our low-income houses really does affect this community. And I don't believe there is a plan to rebuild or find other versions for low-income housing. And the fact that there is, as far as I'm aware, a wait list for what we do have for our senior citizens. I'm also aware that there are, I believe, only two, I can't think of what they are, the home care ladies that come to help for the people that are in need, and their duties are very, very strict. So our healthcare system is also, but like lacking within that, because we could use at least a couple more, because with only two of them, we go back and forth and we are actually missing days where they can't help because they're only allowed to work 40-hour work weeks, and that doesn't cover a 7-day week. But because of our community, like amount of people that live here, I believe it's at 2,500, give or take. I'm looking at Don because I feel like he would know. Oh, I'm sorry. I did not mean to do that. But because we have a population that is so low, Northern Health doesn't seem to hire any more than that, because they feel like we are acceptably at need for what we have as a population. But because our population is aging, we need a few more healthcare workers that can come and actually
10
have
seconds.
specialized home care for our elderly people, as well as a system in place to help maintain their houses in a way of cleaning services and other types of things. It's not just housing. Also, it is definitely that housing. Thank you.
Sorry, and the next question, please. Kayla? people online are asking questions as well, so Kayla's going to read one of them.
You could tell Chris is drastically taller than everyone else. All right. The first one is from Curtis Medzinski. It is, how many hours are you willing to commit as a counselor?
I think we need less than 2 minutes each for that one. Keith.
Thank you for the question, Curtis. Great question. You know, there's certainly expectations being a counselor. You need to come to the meetings prepared and reading a very large agenda package. So, you know, from my time previously, it would be roughly about 4 hours to read the package. You know, any questions I had about any of the items, bringing to the CAO. So that's a couple more hours there. You know, on average, you're looking at roughly 10 to 20 hours a week, I would say. You know, given my current employment being a teacher, I'm not going to be able to go to a lot of conferences, given that I won't be able to get the time off. And I found last term that was quite limiting for me as well in a different role that I had working. So I'm going to be definitely doing my due diligence as far as being prepared for meetings and bringing forward more opportunity for possible policy or bylaw changes. So yeah, I would say conservatively 20 hours a week, but that's quite a bit. I mean, you certainly have a lot of questions if you're going to put in 20 hours. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. And Don.
Well, I got lots of time, and I'll put in whatever it takes. I've been on councils that were really busy. Well, when I first got on council, it was when the downturn, the bank left the town and everything, and we had a lot of work, and we spent lots of hours in town hall, and a lot of that time was after hours. I have no problem doing that. If it needs some time put in, I'm willing to do it. So I can't say 20 hours, that's for sure. I'm sure I can put 40 in easy, but even more than that. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Natasha.
I may also be slightly like Dawn and say that I have a little bit more time to probably throw into it. And depending on what the situation is, I'm not sure if I could honestly put a time frame on how many hours I'd be willing to put in. Depending on how much I know about the topic to begin with, it would change to be relative to how much I would need to learn or invest in learning about the topic that we were actively doing. I would hope to be able to spend any and all time that I would have to be able to outsource and get some form of information to be able to do it. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know. I'm the only person who I believe has no experience being on the physical council. So a time frame for me, I wouldn't know. But I do think I would be willing to spend as much time as I possibly could.
Thank you, Natasha. Okay, Dave.
Thanks for the question, Curtis. I think that there's not really, I don't think you're looking for a number answer, and I share my thoughts with Dawn and Natasha that it's going to be whatever it takes. I've got time. I'm retired. I do have a lot of free time, even though I do spend a lot of time on other volunteer activities. I have the ability and the skill to spend valuable time and make my time well spent in the direction of counselor duties. So I reiterate, I'll do whatever it takes, and I've got the time to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. And Kayla has another question from online.
Okay, the next one is also from Curtis. What is your opinion towards funding the grant writer position? So I think Dawn's.
Yeah, Dawn, you're up.
The grant writer is a very important position. When you say funding, I'm not sure exactly what. I think we should have a grant writer in town, and how wages are picked up from that, I'm not exactly sure how that would go. It'd be a good topic for council. I think there's enough grants around that people, if they don't know how to get through the red tape, they don't have a chance of getting them. So yeah, I would agree to funding to a certain point.
Thank you, Natasha.
I'm also not sure what you mean by funding a grant writer, and I'm sorry. I'm not sure if you mean having someone have that as a job, or maybe trying to get one of the district employees to adding more to their plate to try and do it. But I would agree with Dawn that yes, it is a very important thing. And dealing with enough nonprofits in town, we almost all have different grant writers that do all of our grant writing for each of the different nonprofits. So it could probably be streamlined somehow, although I'm not sure how that would be solved specifically, whether that be a specific person that gets a job or a minimal salary or a one-off that comes in and works for once a month. I'm not sure. But it would definitely be worth looking into, because I agree that there are grants out there that our town could probably desperately use that we are missing out on because we don't have a grant writer. So it'd be something really worth looking into.
Thank you. And Dave.
Thanks, Curtis, again. The grant writer position is very important, especially for nonprofits. We've got a multitude of nonprofits in this town, and many important projects get funded through grants. There's also community projects that are on the horizon, such as the fire hall, such as maybe rebuilding those townhouses. These are going to take a lot of applications for grants if we want to get, some of the world-class facilities that we want in this town. It's important to have someone that's very familiar with how to apply for grants, to use the right language in grant writing, the importance of, having someone with the experience and the time to do a proper job with grant writing increases our chance of receiving those grants. And I know from experience with the WNMS that we get grants because we had good grant writers. And so it's an incredibly important position. Look at, if we want to talk about the fire hall for a minute, people say, well, look at Mackenzie. They had a fire hall built, 95% funded through grants. Do you think that was done without a grant writer? No, I'm sure it was done but with professional grant writers. So it is important. Thank you.
Thank you. And Keith?
Thank you for the question, Curtis. I'm a little bit torn on this one. We have had a contract grant writer in the district for many years. Being involved with currently the Tumbler Ridge Museum organization, a lot of the grants with our larger nonprofit organizations are being dealt with in-house. Our executive directors for many of our organizations, I'm not sure if they don't trust the district grant writer or if it's just too big of an opportunity that they need to take care of it themselves, but a lot of them write their own grants. It's certainly an art form to write grants. But in the past, I know the contract grant writer for the district really took care of a lot of smaller grants for our nonprofits and also our small businesses in town. I know Jerry Lynn was involved with business facade grants. I know a number of our businesses in town took advantage of that grant opportunity. a few years ago. I'm a little bit torn on this one. I think the district can get away with not having a grant writer in town because there is other opportunities as well through the regional district. The regional district has a grant writer as well. So I'm a little bit torn on this one. I think, I think a lot of our major grants get taken care of in-house. But I do think there is still a need for a number of our nonprofits to get a little bit of a boost with the smaller grants. So yes, I would be in favor of a
10.
district grant writer. Thank you.
Thank you. And is there anybody else who has a question, or should we? Okay, Kevin Sherman. And then Kayla, you can go after that.
I can wait till everyone's
Okay,
done.
for sure.
Where do you folks sit on the spectrum of more services at a higher price or fewer services at a lower price in terms of spending?
Natasha, that's you.
Can I ask you to be a little bit more specific on what services?
No, all the time.
Sorry.
All the services that the town supplies, the entire town budget. In other words, are you in favor of increased spending to give the town residents more services, or decreased spending to save the townspeople tax money?
Ouch.
Good.
Okay, yeah, that's a big one, because it is a hard one. Because we have a slightly aging population, increasing things like property taxes, which would give us a better wage to be able to spend more money within town on things that would make it nicer, puts a bit of a hardship on the people that are working on a fixed income or a lower income. And as far as I'm aware, because I deal with a large amount of people within town, it would be hard to do that, but I do agree that if we want to keep our town as nice as we want it to be, and as it is, we do need to increase our funding as we go along to a certain extent to be able to keep up with what we already have without losing a large amount of what we do. Like, I would prefer to not cut back on a lot of things, like kids' sports activities, or the fact that we have a free daycare through the summer run by, I believe, the YMCA right now. But if we raise it too much, do we push our population out because we have now made it too expensive to live in a town? It's a double-edged sword
10.
on a lot of different topics, but I'm sure that there would be a way to do it in a way that didn't put everybody at a disadvantage as well.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Kevin. I think I lean towards keeping taxes the way they are without increasing too much. If that means a decrease in services, I think I would have to lean that way. I know that things are increasing in cost all the time, and no matter what, we're going to have to raise taxes, even just to keep the services at the level they are. Like I said, I think most people would like to keep their taxes at a reasonable level. Maybe 2 to 5% increases is reasonable, especially when you have major projects coming up, like potentially building a new fire hall. Is that going to improve services? Probably not. Is it going to keep our services as they are? Probably. Does it mean increased spending? Yes. So our ability to provide more services, I think, is limited without increasing our taxes a lot. So I think that's where I stand. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. And Keith.
Thank you for the question, Kevin. Excellent question. We are incredibly fortunate in Tumbler Ridge to have all of the services that we have. Our snow clearing in the wintertime is the best in the piece by far. Our water is second to none. We don't have meters, which is very, very fortunate. I think we're only a handful of communities are like that. We're very fortunate to have the natural resources that we have in the area. I would be in favor of, I wouldn't say spending less, but I think our overall budget is incredibly high. I remember last term when I was mayor, we were in the process of hiring CAO, and a lot of candidates that came to our community were shocked at our overall budget of roughly $16 million. For a town of 2,500 people roughly, that is enormous. But the province set it up that way that we could collect taxes through industry. That's why our district boundaries are so large. So a lot of people don't quite know that our overall budget is only 16% residential. So that means our residents of our community only pay 16% of our overall total budget. So when we're looking at raising money for sidewalks or raising money for paving or whatever it might be, it's not a matter of grabbing money out of everyone's pocket in our residents. We also have to look at our industrial tax base, and that's really where our overall total budget comes from. So I'd be in favor of spending the same, just more efficiently. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. Don. And then I have a question from Bernie Lehman.
Yeah, over the years, we've had a lot of years with no tax increase, residential tax increase. And I was never in favor of that. I always thought that we should have at least the cost of living. Because when the costs go up for our public works yard there, the services got to come down if you don't raise the taxes. So I always warned council that someday this is going to explode because we're not keeping up with the cost of living. You just get behind. So I love the services here. It's why a lot of us live here. The snow clearing, everything is really good compared to a lot of small towns. I think we should keep the services. Maybe our taxes will get a little more in line with some of the other towns this size, because we are fairly low compared to a lot of towns. And I think if you want the services, you're gonna have to pay for them. And that's the long and short of it. I know it hurts sometimes, but yeah, I don't see a big increase in services, but I'd hate to lose very many.
Thank you, Don. Okay, Bernie, you have a question? Trent, could I have water too, please? Thank you. Bernie?
I'm just wondering what your stance is on the proposed $12 million fire hall in town.
Thank you. And that one, I believe, is for Dave.
Thanks, Bernie. First statement, I think, is that that was one proposal, and I don't think anybody has agreed to a $12 million fire hall. That was one proposal, but from one architect. I think most people, most towns would probably go to more than one. I understand that in 2022 there was also a feasibility study done with an estimated cost of $24 million. So 12 million actually sounded pretty good. And then other people started asking, well, what about Beaver Lodge? Beaver Lodge built a brand new fire hall for $2.9 million. Is that what we want? Perhaps. Have you seen Beaver Lodge's fire hall? Have you seen the proposal for the $12 million fire hall? They're vastly different, especially in looks. The one in Beaver Lodge is basically just a big square box of metal. It's very industrial looking. Sure, it does the job, and maybe that's what people would vote for. I don't know. This is something that we'd probably need close to downtown. So do you want a big industrial looking box right downtown? Or do you want the $12 million deluxe version? And is it really what we need? Do we need 18,000 square feet of fire hall compared to our current 5,000 square feet? It's missing a lot of things, very important things. But does it need to be 3.5 times bigger? Maybe not. And does it need to be really fancy? Probably not. So I think as a counselor, I would go to other potential contractors, other potential architects that could come up with some ideas for what does $5 million look like? What do we get for $6 million, $7 million? Let's see some options. Thank you.
Keith?
Thank you for the question, Bernie. Good question. I'm not in favor of a $12 million fire hall. I did hear some initial plans for it, and it sounded pretty extravagant. There's certainly a need for more capacity within our fire hall. We have started to outgrow it. We are currently housing one of our units in a different building. So there's certainly a need there, but I do think there's other options out there. And as a council, I'd be looking forward to working with council to try and find the right fit. Our fire department is very well equipped. We've been on a very stringent replacement program with the ladder truck and the rescue truck and the wildfire truck and soon to be the engine. So it's certainly top-notch equipment, and you know, I think this district council and mayor has supported the fire hall to the best of their ability, and it shows with the service that they provide. I know my wife was on the department for many years previously, and to have response time under 6 minutes in town is incredibly impressive. So I'm very thankful and grateful for the service that they provide, mostly volunteer as well. But no, I'm not in favor of a $12 million fire hall. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. Don?
I'm not in favor of a $12 million fire hall. Our fire hall, I think, suits this town. If they have too many units and they have to rent base for them, fine, do that. We did that back in the day with the ambulances. But I like to keep our firefighters well equipped, but a big fancy $12 million fire hall isn't something that I would agree with. And I haven't been in the conversations, but I would sure like to be and hear why they think that that's what they need is a $12 million fire hall. But as of right now, I'm definitely against it.
Thank you, Dawn. Natasha?
I haven't heard anything about a new fire hall, and I'm kind of sorry about that, but also I knew that it needed upgrading. $12 million seems like the complete replacement of the entire building, and I'm not sure if that would be needed, at least not to the $12 million standpoint. It would be beneficial to, again, get multiple different quotes on like what we would need done and what would specifically benefit us as a town, instead of just overhauling everything and starting from scratch. I'm not sure what the $12 million quote came from, but that seems excessive, especially for a town like ours. Even during the fire, when we had to evacuate the town, and we had all of the extra fire departments from around us come to help, we did probably okay considering the circumstances. And I would look into exactly what needed to be replaced and what the spending would look like, and if we could move it across a couple of years instead of all at once.
Thank you. Okay, any further questions yet? Yeah, we've got one more here. And then Kayla, you have one? Yeah. Okay, good.
Hey, everybody. I'm shorter than Chris. So we've discussed the aging population, and the statistics show that by 2050, there's going to be more aged generation than there will be non-aging generation. You've discussed the healthcare, you've discussed housing. What I want to know, Tumbler Ridge is known for its outdoor activities, which is wonderful, and the environment. What are the programs or support systems that you'll put in to keep the active aging generation active, so that we might not need these assisting the devices as we get older?
Thank you. I believe it is. Who finished last time? So it's Keith.
Thank you for the question, Kelly. That's a tough one. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to be able to answer this correctly or not, but programs for activity, you know, I think that really goes to show how diverse our nonprofit groups are. You know, if anybody new to town wants to get to know anybody, our nonprofit groups is a fantastic idea to not only add to some of their own passions, but also get to know people and become social in that regard. So I think supporting our nonprofits continually will help everybody in our community stay active. You know, I think a lot of people that move to Tumbler Ridge and stay here for more than 2 years, I think they've grown and seen the community that we have and the outdoor activity that we have, and the people that stay here want to be here, and that's why I've really enjoyed being here for over 20 years is, you know, I've seen a lot of families come and go, but the people that have stayed have a passion for this community and want to see it grow and thrive. And you know, I think the aging population is only going to continue to use our outdoors. So supporting our nonprofits, I think, would be our best bet for that. I hope that answered your question.
Thank you, Keith. Don?
Well, being a senior, I know that you're limited in a lot of things you can do to get exercise. I think the main thing is walking. And our walking trails, our paved walking trails, aren't finished. They were designed to encircle the whole town. But now, right now, you have to walk on roads to do that trip, which wasn't the idea of. Those walking trails are well used. I see seniors on it every day. And if they went right around the town like they were supposed to, they would have a lot better, it would be a lot longer walk. Not to mention it gets them to other places in town. I think our move to have the seniors hall was great, and it's really helped the seniors in town, and it's things like that help our seniors, and it's simple things. I don't think we need a rugby team of seniors or anything like that, but no, just those walking trails, and continue to help out there at I'm not sure what any needs, if there is any needs at the seniors hall, but we should support that because it's a very good place. Thank you.
Natasha.
I'm sorry, can you come back? I want to clarify. Are you asking about what activities we can include seniors in?
I wanted to know what kind of support systems that you'll put in place. So active seniors aren't just people who are walking. I just came back from a trip where my friend can't hike up the mountains like they used to because now they have knee issues.
Yeah.
So there was some limitations of what we could do in the great outdoors. So what other kinds of support systems can you put in place to help active people? I'm not from BC, I'm from Ontario, and I was just sharing with somebody back there that one of our retirement homes, actually the seniors rappel down the side of the building. That's active seniors. Okay, we're not talking about people who are just needing a little walk around the block. We're talking about people who want to go up the mountain. We're talking about people who still want to run and be in the Emperor's Challenge. How are you supporting those people, and not just in the summer? Because the winter here is harsh, and a lot of people don't have the ability to be out in that cold. So what kind of supports or programs can you put in place to keep active people active? Because we all know, statistics show, if you're healthy, you tend to live longer and you tend to have less ailments, so then you're not as stressful on the health system.
Okay.
Thank you.
I mean, I'm not sure about a rugby team specifically, but we do have drop-in volleyball as well as drop-in basketball that I would honestly love to see some of our seniors show up to do. Volleyball may not be too great for your knees, but I mean, we are a ragtag bunch with a handful of high school kids, so it is a lot of fun. I'm not sure how to do more. We have pickleball, we have floor curling, we have regular curling. Unless we could involve the seniors in some of our children's sports and have them actively, because everyone, I'm sure, at every age has participated in things like figure skating or even soccer. Year-round, we have enough programs running that I'm sure we could have a bigger involvement of our seniors who want to help if they want to with our children. But I would be pro putting in a couple extra places to do extra sports and stuff in town. I would love to see a broomball arena. Honestly, I would love to put one in. I'd love it. But I'm not sure what we could do on a specific basis to be able to support without a better understanding of what kind of sports the seniors would want to do at the end of the day.
Okay, thank you. No, perfect timing. Is there any more questions? We have another one from Kayla.
I haven't had a chance to
sorry,
speak.
Dave. Sorry. So we'll go, after Dave is done, then we'll go Joanne, and then we'll go Kayla.
It's okay. Maybe everybody assumes I know the answers to that one. As a, I guess you could call me an active senior. Look at the lines on the floor in here. These are evidence that there's activities in this room during the day. This is a pickleball court. Is it a great pickleball court? No. Look how tall the ceiling is here. It's not a good pickleball court. So that involves a lot of seniors. On Monday nights we go to the gym at the high school. That's a great area for pickleball, but it's shared with Keith and his kids. So we can't be there all day. So where do we go during the day? This would be an opportunity, expand our ability to have daytime activities for seniors that are things like pickleball. Where do we do it? Here's an example. I'm also the president of the TR Curling Club. So that's an opportunity for seniors. We do have some seniors. You consider yourself a senior, Bernie? We do have an ability to attract seniors to that, and right now there's no ice. We took the ice out of the curling rink last week. Now it sits as a potential activity center for the next April, May, June, July, August, 5 months. That we've got another venue that could be used for other daytime activities, and that could be, we could turn that into pickleball courts in the summer or for those 5 months. Outdoor activities, as you know, I'm WNMS president. We're also promoting the idea of disc golf. So we've just finalized an agreement, a lease with the town to build a disc golf course. That's very senior accessible. Absolutely. It's not an age-specific sport. It's a sport that anybody can play. It's easily accessible. It's easy ground to walk on. It's another opportunity. It'd be great if we could have a lawn bowling club, but I don't know, in a town, this kind of terrain, I don't know, it might be expensive. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Apologies to you, Dave, that I missed you. Sorry. Okay, Joanne.
Currently, the district of TR is updating their zoning bylaw. My question to the candidates, did you participate in the online survey or hand in a written submission? And if you did, what was your major concern or a suggestion that you put forward?
Thank you. And it is Dawn's turn to start.
I put a submission in, and I think our bylaws, and I know they're working on them, and that's good, but some of our bylaws are so outdated that they should either be thrown out or at least brought up to where they're useful at this time. I see bylaws, and I've been told at meetings that, oh, we only act on bylaws by complaint. I don't believe that. That puts neighbor against neighbor. If our bylaw officer drives by and sees a bylaw that is being abused, they should act on it. And I believe that for anybody, any house in town, it's not just, oh, well, that guy's too hard to deal with, so we're not going to talk to him. No, and I really think our bylaws are aged. Most of our bylaws were built for a company owned town, so they were really strict. And I don't know how far they've delved into them right now, but I think there's a lot more work to do. I think our town has grown. Our bylaw department hasn't. I think that should be looked into. I see every day something that I think that's not really included in our bylaws. Bylaws are a serious thing, and they are here to protect everybody. And everybody should be treated the same by them. And we did have variance board at one time, and I don't think it's around anymore. But it was residents, made up of residents. So if you did want to skirt a bylaw, you went to that board, and it might be a one-time thing. If council allows somebody to skirt a bylaw, then everybody can skirt that bylaw, or you're going to end up in court. So it's serious stuff. I think it has to be really looked at with a strong hand, and I would be pushing for that if I got on council.
Natasha?
Joanne, do you mean by zoning bylaw as building infrastructure? Or what, can you be a little bit more specific on what the zoning?
The town put out a questionnaire through Facebook, and it deals with everything from housing to animal control to property, unseen premises.
So bylaws in general?
Bylaw specific, and it's more a question to see if you guys were engaged in what's happening in the town before the by-election, and just to see if you have been participating in council before putting your names forward.
Okay.
So it could be anything in the bylaws. And if you actually submitted anything on the survey.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I did miss the survey, and I did try and submit it in late, and they told me no, because I do not use Facebook. I am not someone who is constantly on any type of social media, and if I do not hear about it through town and through the different channels that actually I do participate in, it is something like I will miss because I am not as socially active as the majority of town is. And that is something that I would like to kind of change, which I know, I'm sorry, I've gone off topic. That wasn't the specific question. But I will also agree with Dawn, where I have read through and looked into quite a number of bylaws in the last few years. And some of them outright just conflict each other, which I thought was very weird when you have the wording and it needs to be updated and changed and be a little bit more legible for a general population, so that you're not sitting there and questioning exactly what you're reading as a bylaw. You need to make it more approachable for a general population to be able to understand what the bylaw is. And if a bylaw is changed, to make it more public friendly and not just post it once within a Facebook page, and if you're not attached to that Facebook page, you'll never see it. Even when it came to things like this specific needing a council member to be replaced, not a whole lot of people got to see it if they weren't attached to that specific Facebook page. And I think that it needs to change to be a little bit more public friendly, especially for our aging population or people who are new to town who are not attached to those things. But no, I did not do the zoning bylaw one, but I did get to read the paperwork for it.
Thank you. And Dave?
Thank you. Joanne, is it? Thank you for the question. I had a chance to speak with Ann, our bylaw officer, and I did take part in the survey. She indicated that it's a challenging job to be the bylaw officer. There's things that take up a lot of her time, especially the animals. Cats have become somewhat of an issue, and she doesn't like having to trap cats or go pick up cats that have been trapped. The dog situation, she says it's been a lot better actually in the last 6 months. Maybe it's because of the weather. I don't know. She doesn't feel comfortable giving out the fines. You can imagine she's not everybody's best friend. I asked her about the main challenges she had, and those take up most of her time, is the pets. There's also the parking, especially when people are parked on the street when there's snow removal going on, and sometimes she has to, have multiple warnings, and apparently there haven't been any towings, but it's, something that they've been considering doing. It's a challenge. I think with our housing potential crisis, some of our zoning bylaws could change, and I believe there are changes coming up. I think Chief Curry has some more information on that, to maybe relax some of the current bylaws to allow things like an extra dwelling on your property, the ability to maybe build an apartment above your garage or carriage homes, different options on residential property to be able to build maybe those modular homes and not have a full foundation, and maybe put them up on concrete pilings rather than have the requirement of a full concrete foundation. Those are some of the things that I'm aware of, and I work hard to make sure that we find the best zoning and best bylaws possible. Thank you.
Keith?
Thank you for the question, Joe. Excellent question. Unfortunately, I did not participate in the zoning bylaw survey. I apologize. There's all kinds of different suggestions within bylaws and within our community. It's an ongoing issue for many, many years. I'm not really going to get into which bylaws are good, which bylaws are bad. I do think the survey was needed because we are going to be looking at needing more housing in the future. So Having a look at those zoning areas and whether or not they're appropriate is certainly a good idea. And I'm looking forward to diving into that survey, hopefully, if I get elected. So, no, unfortunately, I did not, but thank you for the question.
Thank you, candidates. So we're getting close to 8:30. Kayla had one more question, and we have one more question out there, and one more question. So here's the deal. What we could do is we could limit the responses to 30 seconds or 1 minute. So if we can drop that, and everybody's okay if we go till like 8:45 and then have the 3-minute wrap up? Yes? Okay. As long as you're not going to throw rotten tomatoes at me. Go for Kayla.
Okay, I have two really quick ones then. Okay, the first one's from Selena Stacy on the on the feed. How do you think community health care resources can be improved upon, and how would you take action towards making those improvements?
30 seconds. Yep. You.
Healthcare improvements.
Yeah. How do you think community healthcare resources can be improved upon, and how would you take actions towards making those improvements?
I would like to see people being able to access a little bit more of an education system to be a public health worker. We don't have a whole lot of access. A lot of it is online, even through the Yukon College to do so. But hiring, extra part-time workers, we have a large amount of population that is willing to do part-time work. And if they are given the education to do the work, I think that it would be doable.
Time. Thank you. No, sorry. 30 seconds isn't much time. You got to keep your answers really short. Go.
Okay, quick. We've got 4 doctors in town. That's our full complement. Those doctors are overworked as it is. They're struggling. One of the ideas that and I talked to one of our doctors yesterday about the potential of having ultrasound service here. We have 2 doctors that are actually qualified ultrasound practitioners. They have their own equipment, but they would like to have a proper $50,000 ultrasound machine here in Tumbler Ridge. And they're working with Kanuma to get that funding through the Dawson Creek Foundation, Hospital Foundation, to pay for that ultrasound machine.
Thank you. Keith.
Thank you for the question, Selena. Healthcare improvements, honestly, I think for what we have for our diagnostic and treatment center, I think we're in pretty good shape. We have to be realistic in this regard. We can't have everything, unfortunately. Our community just isn't big enough for an actual hospital. Yeah, we would love to have delivered our daughters here in Tumbler Ridge, but unfortunately there wasn't the service for it, so we had to make other plans. So healthcare improvements is going to be all about personnel. We need to continue to recruit.
Thank you. Okay, we'll have this lady here, and then Dawn. Sorry. Oh, see, it wasn't you, Dave. It's
I'm
just
small.
me.
You miss me. Yeah. Well, healthcare. It's probably the subject we shouldn't be cutting short, but anyway, you deal with Northern Health. You have to deal with them respectfully. Anybody I've ever talked to from Northern Health wanted to do as much as they could here, but they're limited. Every community in BC is fighting for health care, and I think ours is pretty good compared to a lot of them. So I think you continually fight with Northern Health for improvements, but do I think you're going to get a whole bunch in a lump sum? I don't think so. It's going to take a while. We looked at health care 20 years ago at the baby boomers getting here, and what we talked about back then has happened. So
Time. Thank you. Okay, did you want to come? And then we'll take you, and then Kayla, you'll wrap it up.
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to talk a little bit today about the sustainability of our community. The mine obviously has been very active lately. We've brought a lot of new people to town. A lot of new businesses have opened. I would like to ask the candidates if there is one thing that you could lead the district of Tumbler Ridge towards, either a project or a strategic direction that will help keep those people in town and let them stay and help those businesses keep their doors open, what would that be?
Dave?
Thanks, Amanda. I'd promote the outdoor activities that are available in town and around town. That's, I think, what attracts people here, and I think that's what will keep people here. I'd also like to see improved internet so that we can have better communication and ability to work from home.
Thank you.
That's probably all the time I have.
Yeah, that's it. You did it. Keith?
Thank you for the question, Amanda. Sustainability, that's been an ongoing question since 2000, I believe, when Quintet first shut down. I would promote shop locally. I think we're very fortunate to have a grocery store and a hardware store here in town. If we don't support them, they won't be here. So I would support shop locally and also try to encourage more entrepreneurship. The bakery was an awesome addition, but we need more. So I would shop locally and entrepreneurship.
Thank you.
Well, I've got two pet projects that I would like to see completed in town, and the walking trails, which I've talked about already, and the other thing was the spray park. I see all these new residents in these carriages running up and down our walking trails. I'm sure it'd be nice to be headed someplace in the summer. So I'm a big fan of the spray park, and there was a lot of council that supported it at one time.
Thank you. Natasha?
I do believe there were a few grants that are open to new businesses in town. One of the things that a few of the businesses that I'm personally aware of through the years have struggled with dealing with extremely high rent costs for a brand new business. And I'm not sure how you could fix that in a way that the district could actually help with something like that, because I don't believe we can put a rent cap on publicly owned business space that is for rent, but it would be something to maybe try and look into.
Thank you. Sir, at the back, I believe everybody's spoke to that yet. See, 30 seconds isn't very long.
30 seconds for them. I got an hour.
Oh, ho, ho.
Thank you very much. My name is Wayne Carpenter. I'm a new resident to Tumbler Ridge. Just been here a couple of months now, actually. And I've attended a few council sessions since I've been here. And I noticed that there are councilors in the audience tonight, which is great. And I think all of the questions that are being posed to each person here is, how do I put it? Very hard to answer unless you are engaged with council themselves, because you need to know your community in order to be a councillor, let's say that. Coming in without the knowledge is obviously more of a challenge than someone who has been there before as such, and that's great. You can still contribute, you know, if you're successful or not successful. But my question anyway, in regards to each candidate, knowing council, and this is a long answer, I'm sure, but you're gonna have to be real quick. What I heard this evening was a lot of questions around the assets in the community. And those assets are controlled through asset management at council. So does council today have the asset management aligned with their strategic planning? Whether their strategic planning is 5-year, 10-year, 15, or 20 years out. I've heard we have new administration in the way of CAOs. I'm sure they strive to hear what council wants them to achieve. So if that's a question that I need to elaborate on, I will. Thank you.
Keith? Try to answer that one in 30 seconds.
Thank you for the question, Wayne. I do believe the district is aligned with their asset management, with their strategic plan. There has been some, shall we say, theory changes within the asset management plan over the last 5 or 6 years. But with new personnel, I think we're starting to use our equipment a little bit more rather than just a 10-year replacement plan. So I do believe that the asset management plan is aligned with the strategic plan. Thank you.
Don.
Yeah, the asset management plan, when I was back in the big seat, was it just kept going on and on. You put all your dreams in there, and then you just moved them as got some done, but this other one you moved down a little bit farther. Rather than raising taxes, you did it as you could, and we put money away for many things, and it's something I'm going to address at the closing. But yeah, I think we've got a good we've had a good asset managing plan, and I'm always happy with it.
Thank you, Natasha.
I'm not sure if 30 seconds is long enough to address any of that question, and I'm sorry. But I do believe that our council and our mayor right now are doing the best that they can with what we have at our disposal. And with new people being involved, it will become a little bit clearer as it happens what they can do and what the time frame can be, instead of just all over the place. But they're doing fairly well right now for what they can.
Thank you. And last question, Kayla. Oh, Dave again. That's twice. It's this barrier between the two tables. Go ahead.
All right, thanks, Wayne. Welcome to town. I don't have a good answer for you other than, I think we have a very strong council right now, a very strong mayor, and I'd be proud to work on this council. And I believe that I trust what they're doing is the right thing right now. And if it's an asset management plan that's aligned with the strategic plan, I believe that that's probably happening. But I'll learn more as I go. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Okay, Kayla.
All right, this one was sent to me in personal message. So, what do you feel needs to be done to ensure the mandated services are set up to be sustainable? Example, water and sewer.
30 seconds. Don.
Well, back again when I was sitting in the big seat, we redid the sewer lagoon and everything down at the dump, I guess is what I call it. But and we redid the water treatment plant. Those things, if your toilet doesn't flush, you get really upset. And if water doesn't come out of your tap, you've got to stay ahead of that stuff. It's planning, and that's all I can say.
Yeah, thank you. Natasha.
I'm not personally aware of when the water or sewage was last replaced or fixed, but I do know that we have district employees that run and maintain at all times those two things. I'm not sure how else to answer that as a question, though, within the time frame as we have right now.
Thank you. And Dave.
We have 40-year-old infrastructure. It all needs replacing at some point. We have to consider, if we're going to build a new fire hall, we got to make sure that that fire hall is going to have an adequate supply of water. So they go hand in hand. You can't spend $12 million on a fire hall and not spend an equivalent amount on replacing your pipes where they're needed. And if that blows up on us, we got to spend the money. So yeah, again, $12 million, probably not a realistic idea, but spending money on infrastructure like piping, yeah, very important.
Keith.
Thank you for the question. Our major services to be kept sustainable need to be part of our asset management plan. All of our valves need to be checked. All of our pipes need to be checked. We had a blowout last year down by Flatbed. Luckily, we had enough water supply, but you know, our water wells need to be checked. There's some flow issues with one of them, I believe, if memory serves correctly. So it all needs to be part of our asset management plan, and we need to keep on it.
Thank you, Keith. So that was it. I think we should give these candidates a big round of applause. So I have a couple of thank yous. First of all, I want to thank the District of Tumbler Ridge. Without them, this wouldn't have happened. They set up the tables and the chairs that you're sitting on. They set up the sound system, and we're just so thankful that they did all that work for us and made this event possible. You can tell by the turnout it was something that people were looking forward to. I want to thank my board of directors at the Tumbler Ridge Chamber, Kayla and Trent and Joel and Gerald and Tammy, for all of their help and their support while we pulled this together. We had our AGM today. Anybody want to join the board? Give me a call, talk to Kayla. We got place for you. I want to thank all of the candidates for your thoughtful responses, and thank you to our audience, you, for your participation and your respect. No matter who earns your vote, the real winners tonight are the people of Tumbler Ridge, because informed voters make strong communities. Now, I want to remind you that the election takes place on April 12th, so make sure you get out and vote. But there is advanced voting, and I believe that's the 2nd of April and the 9th of April. And that's why we had to kind of rush to get this on, because we wanted to make sure people had a chance to meet the candidates prior to the advanced voting. And thank you to the new CAO for her guidance in that. Thank you very much, Lisa. And I just want to wish you. There's a question, maybe? Yeah. I just want to know where the voting's going to be. Oh, voting? Lisa, do you want to speak to that? Here at the Community Center.
The advanced polls are going to be at the town hall. The actual vote will be here. So.
Okay, thank you. So the best part of the evening is still yet to come. That's when all of these lovely people stand up and mill about and answer any questions you want to ask them personally. So drive safe, stay warm, and remember, Election Day is coming, and make sure to get out there and cast your vote. Have a great evening. What? Oh yeah, sorry. Hokey doodle. Thank you. I was looking at Natasha's scared face, so. Okay, we're gonna start here at this end, Dawn, and then we'll just work our way down, and that way I will not miss anybody. We'll end with Keith.
Our reserve fund has been mentioned here tonight, and I'm not sure that everybody understands and why it was made, why it was started, and how it's supposed to work. When you make a mention that, yeah, we can't dwindle that reserve fund. The reserve fund should be that we can lend ourselves money. It has to be paid back into that reserve fund. And the thing we save is the interest. We don't pay interest to some bank or something. And that was the whole idea behind it, other than the fact that when we got first mines shut down, we were a broke community. We were at the mercy of a lot of people. And that reserve fund was so that we never were in that position again. And that's what concerns me a little bit, is that a lot of council that are new don't know that history of the reserve fund and how it's made itself into a fairly, it makes this town into something special. So I believe, if you vote for me, I believe in transparency. I believe in town hall meetings, and I believe in getting resident input into a lot of subjects. And there's things that have really added to this town that I think some of them are gone and some of them are still here. And the Geopark and Museum are still here and playing a big part. Grizzfest, it was a real good thing in this town, and I would like to see it come back with maybe a little different. I'd like to see it fend for itself, really. The rodeo that we had years ago was awesome. Our fall fair, I think we still have a fall fair, and we have the perfect grounds for that stuff now. The Emperor's Challenge, that's just been a big thing for this town. Hill climbs and drags. I don't think we hill climb anymore, but we do have the drags once in a while for sleds. And our trails, hiking, skiing, quadding, sledding, they're big issues for this town. And the Wolverine Nordic Society has done wonders in that line. And our waterways, riverboats, lakes, and canoe and kayakers. Kayak, I can't believe them. I talked to a couple kayakers down by my property, and next day I'm sitting by the river where nobody bugs me, and these kayakers come down. They come all the way from the Bomoose Flats, which I thought was awesome. So, but anyway, those are the things I think we got to keep working on in town here, and keep supporting. Thank you.
Natasha. First off, I think I would like to thank everyone who actually showed up to come out to this, because again, you guys are a very large crowd for what normally shows up to things like this. And I do believe I see all of the rest of the sitting council members as well as our mayor. So thank you so much for showing up and supporting our question and answer period, even though it did get cut a little bit short. And I'm sorry if we did not get to answer all of your questions with the thoroughness that probably needed to be addressed for such a short amount of time to be able to put on a vote. But I appreciate everybody showing up here, and I'm sorry for making you repeat your questions and do a little bit more of a clarification, as I am a very specific person when it comes to wanting to address something, and I don't love getting it completely wrong just by making a guess for my nerves. I do believe in promoting tourism for this town. It brings a lot of money in for us, but I also believe that the quality of living for everyone in this community needs to be dealt with within a timely manner to be able to sustain our way of life. I am dedicated to working towards Tumbler Ridge, where families thrive, nonprofits flourish, and everyone feels a sense of belonging. I believe that working together, we can create a strong and more vibrant community for generations to come, as long as we work together to provide the necessity that we do need as a community. Thank you.
I'll choose to stand. Right away, thank you, Mayor and Council, for coming tonight. Appreciate your attendance, and I appreciate everybody here coming and asking some really great questions. I hope we are all able to answer your questions. Thank you, Dawn. Thank you, Natasha. Thank you, Keith, for coming. You guys are all really, really strong candidates, and I wish you all the best of luck. I'm in tough competition, for sure. I'll do what I can. I think I'll try to be the best counselor that can be out there. I'm the kind of guy that I think you've gotten to know me a little bit better tonight. I'm the kind of guy that does some in-depth research into things. I want to come informed. I want to be the most informed resident in town and someone who can add value to our council discussions. I know that we've got some very important issues to talk about in town. You know, whether it's the education system, the child care, health care, housing. What do we do about wildfires? You know, do we build a fire hall? There's so many things, and you know, I think I've got the time and I've got the knowledge and the skills to become informed and to be a good voice for you, the taxpayer, the people, and that's what I want to be part of the solution. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent speech, Dave. That's hard to follow. I love this community. I really do. I've been here for many years, and that was my motivation for running for mayor last term, is because I love this community. There's some big projects coming up, some big spends coming up that I'd really like to be involved with. Believe me, I've enjoyed my time off. Last term, 2018 to 2022, was a very challenging one. As you all know, it was very uncertain times, and I certainly enjoyed my time off from council up until this point. But like I said, I found myself starting to complain again, so it's time for me to get back in the ring. I'm really looking forward to working with all of council. Every council person, I believe, is a piece of the puzzle, and I'd like to be part of that puzzle again, and shape our community for the next 15 years. It's interesting, I'm starting to see a couple of things come to fruition since my time last term, and I'd like to follow up on a few other things that that council and I were working on last term as well. So I'd appreciate your vote. I really appreciate everyone coming out tonight. Again, this is a very large turnout, so it's really nice to see everybody here. And it's nice that I know most of you. If I don't know you, please come and introduce yourself. I'd be happy to chat you up. And yeah, come on out and vote April 12th. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Keith. So on the positive side, you don't have to listen to me give my closing or my thank yous, because we've already done that. And on the even more positive side, these guys are going to stick around. They're going to mill about, and feel free to chat with them and find out even more.